Parish Council meeting to order for October 12, 2022. The current time now is 6:02. We will be led in prayer by Councilman Olivier and the pledge by Mr. Leslie Landry. Councilman Olivier.
Everyone please rise. Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Lord, as we gather today at this meeting, we ask that you will be in our midst. Help us to make decisions that will be pleasing to you and to the people of Iberia Parish. Help us to be able to discuss the matters at hand in a reasonable way and be willing to give up having our own way. Heavenly Father, we take time not just from tradition, but with grateful hearts, remembering all those who have served our nation. Today we honor our veterans, worthy men and women who gave their best when they were called upon to serve and protect their country. We pray that you will bless them for their unselfish service in the struggles to preserve our freedom, our safety, and our country heritage for all of us. We respect them, we thank them, we honor them, we are proud of them. We pray that you will watch over these special people and bless them with peace and happiness. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you, Councilman. Mr. Landry.
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Order, arms.
Thank you, Mr. Landry. Thank you, Mr. Olivier. Madam Clerk, please initiate the roll call.
Francis Pollard.
Here.
Michael Landry. Marcus Broussard.
Here.
Lloyd Brown.
Here.
Warren Gotchison.
Here.
Natalie Broussard. Here. Paul Landry.
Here.
James Trahan.
Here.
Scott Ronsonet.
Here.
Eugene Olivier.
Here.
Brian Napier.
Here.
Lady Fontenette Brown. Scott Saunier. And Chad Monterey.
We have 12 members in the quorum. I'll need a motion to go into public comments. Have a motion by Councilman Pollard, second by Councilman Brown. Any discussion, members? Hearing none. Roll call. Those in favor will signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, hearing no opposition, the ayes have it, and the motion carries unanimously. Number 1, Madam Clerk.
Comments from the general public on agenda items.
We did not receive any. Number 2, Madam Clerk.
Persons being considered for appointment to parish boards and commissions to address the council.
We do have one request by Ms. Nancy Buteau to address summary number 164 for an appointment to the Tourism Board. Ms. Buteau, if you can step to the mic. Please state your name for the record, please.
Good evening. Hi, my name is Nancy Buteau. I'm currently the clerk and tax collector for the Village of Loreauville. I have been appointed to the Tourism Commission by the Loreauville Community Project. Who better to know the goings on in the village besides the clerk? So it just kind of fits easy. I did get approached by Brad Clifton, our mayor, and I am excited to take on this new seat and hopefully spread the word of good things that are going on in our village to get some tourism in there. And yeah, we welcome everyone to join us for our activities and events and would love to have more people, come into our village.
At this time, members, are there any questions for Ms. Buteau? We do have a question by Councilman Ronsonet.
Not so much a question, just a comment. Thank you. Ms. Buteau, like you said, she serves as the clerk in Loreauville. She helped out with some of the Acadiana project stuff, which is going to be big coming up as far as possibly getting the monument and drawing tourism from not only the Houma area, but the Canada area possibly. That all ties in together. We're going to be possibly one of the only towns in the state, well, the second one, counting Houma, to have the monument, and there's only 3 in the world, so that's big, big opportunity, and who knows better than the clerk of Loreauville. Thank you, Ms. Buteau.
Thank you.
Councilman Ronsonet yields back. Anyone else on this discussion? Hearing none. Ms. Buteau, thank you for your willingness to serve our community. We appreciate it. I'll need a motion to go back into regular session. Have a motion by Councilman Pollard, second by Councilman Trahan. Any discussion? Roll call, members. Those in favor will signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, hear no opposition. The ayes have it, and the motion carries unanimously. We're now back into regular session. Moving on to community events and public service announcements. There is none. Going on to reports from finance or administrative actions. There is none. Reports from parish or other governmental agencies. Number 1, Madam Clerk.
Monthly permit report for the month of September 2022, mailed to the council.
Moving on to public works reports, Madam Clerk.
Public Works Department report for closed work orders dated September 14th through the 27th, 2022, emailed to the council.
Moving on to special business, there is none. Council member announcements. This time, members, anyone? Councilman Olivier is recognized.
Andrew's not here tonight. I just want to remind everybody that St. Edward's Church Fair will be this weekend. So if y'all can attend, I'm sure you'll be truly appreciated. Thank you.
Councilman Olivier yields back. Anyone else, members? Councilman Rossonay on the ball tonight, huh?
Almost the same comment here. We have the Lorville Tailgate Cook-Off, which benefits the St. Joseph's Church this weekend. It's free to anyone except you're gonna pay for the food, but they do have some little things going on, fun jumps for kids. Most of it was donated, so a lot of it is free. It's a good event. It's all day long. They have a cornhole tournament. Anybody want to get in there? Get you some of that. So.
Are you cooking, sir?
No, sir. I'm not good. I
At
was
least you're honest about it, Councilman. We
Mr. Tron next year. Me and you.
Mr. Charles
Oh,
cooking?
you in? I'm coming. I'm coming. Help me. There we are.
Councilman Rossonay yields back. Anyone else, members? Hearing no other discussion, moving on to parish president's announcements. Parish President Reshort.
Chairman, on Monday, we had a pre-construction meeting with Royal Engineers and Southern constructors for the Jefferson Canal Mart Water Control Structure. This meeting was held at the site where the structure is going to be installed. We're looking forward to move with this project in the next couple of months. It's going to be a big deal for that particular area. The south side of Jefferson Canal is going to be next. We're in the process of getting signatures for that, so we're doing well with our water control structures. Today we had a meeting with Mike Tarantino, IDF, Mike Francis, Public Service Commission, and representatives from Atmos. The topic of discussion was about installing gas lines at Highway 90 that's going to service Progress Point in the Acadiana Regional Airport. Capacity is the big deal, and Paul, you've been in many of these discussions. This is a big deal for us, so we're moving forward with that. We're now in the process of putting our capital outlay request in order. We're going to have that submitted by the November the 1st deadline. Our annual State of the Parish will be held on October the 26th at 6 o'clock. October the 27th at 6 o'clock at the Slyman Theater. Household Waste Day is scheduled for Saturday, October the 22nd from 9 to 12 in the parking lot behind the courthouse. I'm going to stop right there, Mr. Chairman. I think that's good.
Members, at this time, is there any questions for the parish president? Councilman Napier on the question?
So Larry, on the Jefferson Canal, I know we probably learned some lessons from,
We learn lessons every day, Brian.
well, hopefully so. So this one here, all the right-of-ways and all have been
Everything is done.
got.
Yep.
and
Everything
it's
is done.
the same contractor.
Actually, it's the same contract
Right.
that actually was awarded the last
Right.
bid, yes.
Any updates on the one for Mr. Patu?
No, last thing I heard from Mr. Patu is he was waiting for his attorney to contact me, and I haven't gotten a call back yet.
Okay.
Thank you.
Councilman Napier, you finished?
Yeah.
Councilman Napier yields back. Anyone else in discussion? Hearing none. Moving on, by request of legal counsel, there is a request to move up Hospital Board Summary 166 without objection. Hearing none. I know Hospital Board's here, huh? Oh, that's Ms. Dion. You could just state your name and title for the residents.
Grab the clicker real quick as well.
Yeah. Just to open up, members, I'll need a motion for summary 166. Go ahead, Madam Clerk. I'm jumping a gun on you, Ms. Dion. So anxious, nothing in committee tonight again.
A resolution accepting the annual operating budget of Hospital Service District Number 1 of the Parish of Iberia, Louisiana for a fiscal year beginning October 1st, 2022 and ending September 30th, 2023, all as recommended by the Hospital Service District Number 1 Board of Commissioners, providing for the effective date thereof and otherwise providing with respect thereto. Note, a motion to suspend the rules will be needed as this item was not considered by the joint
I
committee.
have a motion to suspend the rules by Councilman Brown, second by Councilman Landry. Any discussion on suspension of the rules? Hearing none. Roll call, members. Those in favor will signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, hearing no opposition, the ayes have it. The motion carries unanimously. To open up the main motion, I'll need a motion. I have a motion by Councilman Landry, Councilman Brown and Councilman Landry. Both of you guys wave. Any discussion on the main motion, members? Hearing none. Ms. Dion, you have the floor.
Thank you. I have a PowerPoint. I don't know who Can someone help me put it together?
I don't see nothing.
Is Susan here? Ms. Dion, is Susan here?
No.
Oh, because she told me she was coming to do the.
Thank you. I'll go ahead and start. As stated, we're here to present our fiscal year 23 budget to the council. We just ended our fiscal year 22 on September 30th and starting that new year now. So I'll talk a little bit about our budget for next year and then also kind of look back and share some of our successes from last year and a few things we're working on this upcoming year as well. Again, my name is Dion Viator, the CEO of Iberia Medical Center. I'm here with Amy Longlinay, the Chief Financial Officer, so if there's any questions about budget, she'll jump in and help us with that as well. And then Deacon Roland John, we appreciate him as our Vice Chair of our board here to support us this evening. This is the board that we have. The board has already reviewed our fiscal year 23 budget, and we do appreciate we have added to our board member here, Miss Emily Bro, who you appointed in one of your last few meetings here. She's already hit the ground running and getting up to speed and very engaged. So thank you all. We have a great supportive board. Our 2023 budget, to go right into that, we do a zero-based auditing budget. Just because you spent it last year doesn't mean you get it this year. There's a level of uncertainty, of course, as we enter this new fiscal year. Some of the things we try to take into account is the rising labor cost, as well as our increased supply cost as we come out of this pandemic. I was able to report to you about 2 years ago in 2021 that we moved our minimum wage from $8 an hour to $10 an hour. In our upcoming budget, and as we move forward, we are moving our minimum wage to $11 an hour for all full-time and part-time IMC employees as well. That is all baked into this budget. We looked at our admissions in the budget, and we're going to budget about a 10% increase in admissions. And that is primarily due to driving with the increase in admissions due to the new emergency room. We budgeted an emergency room visits at 111 patients a day, and I have more information on the emergency room, how it's progressing since we opened it as well, a little bit later in the presentation. And then outpatient visits, we budgeted with very minimal growth. We know that a lot of people are stabilizing now, not necessarily coming back for all the health care that they did previously, so we weren't very aggressive there. Our fiscal year 23 budget, we have projected numbers are to the right, so our fiscal year end, although we've ended September 30th, we haven't finalized our financial statements for that time frame, so everything for September 30th of 22 is projected, and that's the right-hand column. And then we have our budget, which is the left-hand column that we're comparing side by side. We have an increase in operating revenue primarily due to increase in inpatient admissions, and I'll show you that in a little while. We have an increase in our salaries, benefits, and contract labor. You can see that 60 million salaries, benefits, and contract labor and 120 million as budgeted revenue, just over 50% of our total cost are in our labor as well. Supply expense going up as we're all seeing more than normal inflation in that area. And then our other operating expenses, that includes our utilities, depreciation expense, some of the other things that are going up as well. So we have a budget very near our projected for the year is a $742,000 profit, and our budget for next year is a $632,000 profit. This is just a trend over the years where you can see since 2012 the growth in our total revenue. Each year has been an increase. Operating expenses have also increased, as we've just talked about. This is our bottom line, excluding the PERS adjustment that we all know our retirement plan has some actuarial valuations that fluctuate our bottom line from year over year based on non-cash items and the performance of the investments. So when we normalize this and look at just operations, you can see our trend here over the last few years since 2012. There's only 1 year in 2016 where you can see that there was a loss. That was, I can't say really intentional, but it was planned, it was foreseen. That was the year that Dotrieve Hospital was built. Purchased. That took a lot of effort and staffing to get it relicensed. But you can see immediately thereafter in 2017, the profitability retained. Discharges, when you look at this slide, you look at 20 and 21, and you see that our patient discharges declined in 2021 and projected in 22. But we were full. So really the story here, and you'll see it on the next slide, is that from patient days we were full. We had long length of stay patients. COVID created very long lengths of stay. So we were unable to handle all of the admissions that were needed there. This is the patient days that reflect the capacity limitations that we had during that time frame. And this is our capital budget for 2023. Our discipline over the last few years has been to look at our cash flow. Our cash flow is expected to be about $4 million next year. We take half of that, we spend it on capital, and the other half we put in the bank and we save. Right now we're at about a little over 90 days cash on hand with about $30 million set aside. Any questions about the budget before I move on to the rest of the presentation?
Within the $2 million, how much of this capital upgrades is North Campus? When you talk about the facility upgrades and improvements, is that main campus or is that main campus and North Campus?
It's both campuses together. And when I look at the list of things that we'll be doing, they're spread fairly evenly between the two campuses. Some of the capital commitments that we've already made that I'll go through in just a minute from prior year capital that are taking a while, we have disproportionately spent, other than the North ED, we've disproportionately spent a lot of money on the main campus that I don't think a lot of people hear about because it's not as, glamorous as the North
Those
ED.
upgrades you're talking about was part of the revenue bonds that we secured?
Absolutely, absolutely. That is the main campus. We did the roof. We did a lot of our repairs and maintenance on the electrical system, and we're undergoing a remaining $2 million electrical infrastructure upgrade with the upgrade of a emergency generator as a part of the completion of those bond
I have
funds.
one more question for you, and you probably have it in your slide, but as far as patient services, are we moving more services into the North Campus that possibly can free up some room in the main campus? Because obviously we landlocked at the main campus. Have we decided on, I mean, it looks, when I pass in front of North Campus, you can see the activity is increasing.
We are moving more and more outpatient services over to the North Campus. It's just so easy to get in and out of and navigate for patients. The higher level acuity care, keeping that at the main campus.
Okay.
So we're trying to divide the services so that we duplicate where we have to, but not across the board.
Got it. Thank you.
Thank you. So what's any report of the last year without at least a brief comment about COVID? This is a trend that's pretty interesting from April of 2020. So what you can see is how our volumes have gone up and down over the past few years with COVID, with these peaks that are somewhat cyclical. But today we have just 4 patients in the hospital with COVID, none in the ICU. And that's pretty much what we've been seeing in this last little blip you see to the far right. You know, anywhere in the last 2 or 3 weeks, 0 to 4 patients. Nobody really in the ICU. It seems like we're at a different level of managing COVID at this point. So we're moving forward. We think that this is just going to be our new normal with a few patients that are COVID, and we're well equipped to handle that. So I just wanted to talk a little bit, as I stated earlier, about looking back and what we've been focused on in the past year. We've been focused on our employees, and this is one thing that we did an employee engagement survey in the month of June, and I wanted to report to you that we did very well. We used Gallup, an external company, to come in. We are ranked against healthcare organizations our size, and our score for engagement put us in the 75th percentile, where I have the blue star. of hospitals. We had 54% of our employees be completely engaged according to questions, about 37% not engaged, and 9% actively disengaged. The Gallup surveyor told us that, that 9% was really a good number, that 5% of people come out of the womb disengaged and never going to be engaged. So we thought that was kind of funny. He said that in actively disengaged across the corporate world in the U.S., about 17% actively disengaged is a normal. And so I brought this slide up to show you, because I thought this was interesting. When you look at this, if you look at the global workforce, it's saying 80% of workers worldwide are not reaching their potential and not engaged. 20% of employees are engaged globally. In the U.S., 32% are engaged. In all of the Gallup clients, 49% are engaged. So 49% of employees engaged is the 50th percentile. And we were at the 75th percentile with 54% of our employees engaged. So we know this by department, by leader, and now we have action plans to continue to move forward with that. We've also been very focused on our compliance. We live in a very regulated world of healthcare with a lot of different agencies and things that we need to comply with. Roxanne Martin, about almost 2 years ago now, was named our Chief Compliance Officer, and she has worked tirelessly at getting all of our plan documents, executing a monitoring and audit plan, reviewing and updating all of our hospital-wide policies, and robust education. So I just can't go without saying compliance is an important piece for us. We're focused on our patients, and this is really the big celebration for us. We have worked very hard, and I've talked about this over and over again as we've spoken. Our emergency room patient experience. We ended our last fiscal year at the 86th percentile, which we're very proud of. We want the patients, we want high quality care and a very satisfied experience. You can see with the emergency room opening the North Campus and allowing patients to be at the two different campuses. We had too high of a volume at the main campus to really be able to get people through as quickly as we needed to. So it's helped quite a bit at the 86th percentile. I also wanted to report both campuses are performing very highly. So the main campus, we're in the 73rd percentile, and at the North Campus, our scoring is at the 99th percentile, so overall the 86th. Very proud of the staff at both campuses for the emergency room. So hopefully you don't need us in the emergency room, but if you do, we want to take good care of you. Outpatient experience, here we are continuing to trend there. You can see that with the outpatient experience, this is primarily lab, x-ray, therapies, things like that you might use us for. Very high and at the 87th percentile in our outpatient experience. Talking about quality a little bit, moving on to quality. Across the hospital, we're very focused on quality, and we look at it at a department by department level. And I put this up here as just one example of the type of focus we put on our quality. This is in our cardiac cath lab. So what is a best practice for a cath lab? National standards say if you're a STEMI patient, you get from our door to the time you get a device, which is either a balloon or whatever you need done in the cath lab, within 90 minutes, and you have the best chance of a great survival and positive recovery. So 90 minutes is what we held to. That's the national benchmark. We've looked at that, and we've done that 100% of the time over the course of this past year. When you look at this, I've gotten the question, okay, why is there so few? What is a STEMI? What a STEMI is a heart attack, basically, but it's not all heart attacks don't result in a STEMI. It is basically, you can see, it's a completely blocked coronary artery that qualifies for this. And we're in communication when the patient's in the ambulance. We're calling out the teams before anybody arrives. And this is something that we're celebrating as well. All of this focused department by department. Each department has a national benchmark it's trying to beat. And we've been rewarded by all of that hard work. Leapfrog is one of the highest, highly recognized national organizations that gives hospitals a score, an A, B, C, D, F. And our last score was for grade for the hospital was a B. We just got that announced in the spring of 2022. And as you can see, as I put some of the comparatives on the screen as well, we really are, from a patient safety perspective, outscoring many of the Lafayette hospitals as well. We're focused on stewardship of our resources. As you know, we spoke last time I was here, the renegotiation of the bond structure. We were able to fix our bond rates before we hit an inflationary period. The estimate there is that we saved over the remaining life of the bonds about $1.3 million. Negotiating rate increases with managed care, some FEMA funding, and then something we're proud of as well is our last year's BKD financial audit that we presented to you had no adjustments and no control deficiencies, so a strong accounting controls. Now looking forward as we continue to implement the strategic plan, we're focused on, of course, our emergency services, our cancer services, cardiology, OB, and neurology and stroke. So in emergency services, we've talked before, the North Emergency Room that opened in last December. I wanted to show you this trend because this is a busy slide, but it's back to 2012. And the reason I did it back to 2012 is the blue bar is Iberia Medical Center, and the red bar on top of it is Dotrieve Hospital. So this is the total number of emergency room visits that were in the community when Dotrieve was functioning independently. And then you can see moving forward. So you can see, especially that bar to the right in the last few months as we've come out of the last COVID wave, the volume in the emergency rooms, we are being able to capture quite a bit of that volume that previously was going to Dotrieve to be able to treat people, right here in our community. Also at the main campus, we've talked a lot about the emergency room at the North Campus, but we're also doing improvements at the main campus. The main campus emergency room has an x-ray room that is a little bit older. It's functional, it works well. We're upgrading that though to a digital x-ray room. That'll be upgraded in spring of 2023. Faster, less radiation doses, just a higher quality image. And we're also upgrading our mobile x-ray units at both campuses. Expansion of our cancer services. Many of you came. We had an opening of our infusion center, I guess about 18 months ago. We outgrew that. So within the last 30 days, couple of weeks, we've opened and expanded cancer services here. The important thing about that is that this is infusion, a lot of chemotherapy, primarily for cancer patients. We work here independently with the physicians in our community, but we also implement protocols. If you go to one of the nationally recognized cancer service healthcare organizations and they establish a protocol, they send it to us and we implement it here so that if you do need chemotherapy 2-3 days a week, you're not driving, your family's not having to stay, and it really does help to be here at the comfort of home. We're focused on early cancer detection. Treatment we're very focused on, but there are a lot of things on the treatment side we're not going to do in this community. So let's focus on early detection. That'll make a healthier community. So we did get the 3D mammography in our last fiscal year, and you can see by the volumes of the number of mammograms that we did in 2022 is significantly increasing. We're going to link this to earlier detection and a better survival rate in cancer across the board. We're also at the North Campus. What we're seeing there at the North Campus with the addition of the emergency room is a lot of CAT scans, a lot of CTs being ordered. The machine there is not as fast as it needs to be, so we're upgrading the CT machine. While we're doing that, the CT machine that we are getting is going to be state-of-the-art, brand new. It's going to have artificial intelligence to identify images and clarity for our radiologists. But while we're getting this machine, we're adding 2 new capabilities to the North Campus. One is CT angiography, and what that is, it'll help with a stroke diagnosis at the North Campus. We do say that is not our higher acuity campus. If you have a stroke, you're having a heart attack, go to the main campus. But we want to have that backup here because, like I said, that 90 minutes door to balloon, in that example I gave earlier of our quality initiative, we have had patients show up at the North Campus having an active stroke, and we were able to get them from the North Campus and still meet all the guidelines over to the main campus, and we salute Acadian for helping us with that as well. In addition, we're adding another functionality as a part of this piece of equipment is the PET functionality. Some people, you may not have heard of a PET CT, but what that does is it measures cancerous cells in the body. It can tell you if you have a cancerous cell. It can tell you when you're undergoing treatment, if your treatment's working, if those cells are shrinking. So having this right here in our community as well. That is spring of 2023 that we'll be adding that as well. We just welcomed Dr. Nagendran to our community as an interventional cardiologist. And we have a new cath lab that is being installed at the main campus for that service as well. We are the only hospital in Acadiana with a state birth-ready designation. It is a designation with about 25 quality indicators that you have to meet, report, and be monitored on. So what I mean by this, the only hospital in Acadiana with this designation is there are no hospitals even in the Lafayette area with this designation. Our partnership with Iberia Comp we've talked about. This is going very well. We are working very seamlessly with them now. We have been there treating patients in the clinic. We have now reached a phase of that relationship where we're beginning to integrate our IT systems so that we can even have a better flow of communication of records back and forth for the patients who need. We started a neurology service. We have Dr. Oliver Achi, and he's a tremendous asset, a bright man. He is available, he's here in his clinic every day of the week, but available to us in the hospital on call only 7 days a month. So what we've done is we've added in March of this year, we added a teleneurology service that adds another capability where 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days under Dr. Achi's oversight, we have neurology services at the hospital. We used to send out about 10 patients a month from our hospital to Lafayette when neurology services such as this were needed, and now we no longer have to. This became a critical point for us because during COVID, in many cases, there were no empty beds in Lafayette. You don't want to send a patient to another state when they're in need of stroke care. So we appreciate Dr. Achi's leadership with this. To your point earlier, this is the last of the bond proceeds where we're doing the infrastructure upgrade at the main campus. The last piece to be done is basically brand new transformer boxes. They're calling this kind of open heart surgery on the hospital itself, where new transformer boxes and throughout the hospital and new switches. So what we've done is if you drive around the back of the hospital, you can see that there's a new building in the back of the hospital. All of the new electrical switches are being put in that building, and then switch by switch, we're going to start moving them over. We couldn't replace in place because that would mean the hospital would be running on a generator power for 3 or 4 months straight. So this is kind of a delicate balance that we have going on, and probably won't end until the end of 2023 because we're going to do it in such phases and progression. And then lastly here, just focused on our community. We've enjoyed with the back to school events that we've been able to participate with recently. St. Francis Diner, Miss Juanita is a gym. And then focused on our community as we move forward with, we're starting flu vaccines and a lot of the local employers. And then educating our students about healthcare career choices as we continue to grow our youth and have a continued workforce moving forward. And then Leadership Iberia, we just hosted them. That was a nice group to have as well. And then, of course, I have to thank our own Larry Richard for his Real Men Wear Pink contribution. October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and we're starting a campaign, Real Men Wear Pink, and we've had a lot of good participation, and thank you for that. Any questions?
Members, any questions from Ms. Dion at this time? Councilman Rossini?
As far as your employee engagement, I'm curious if you have data yet. Employee engagement versus, I guess, your retention of employees, and employee engagement versus customer service. Do you have any of that data yet to speak to? Or?
I think that there is a lot of employee engagement and customer service are very tied together. If the employees are happy and engaged and positively moving you forward, then your patients are going to be. And yes, we do see correlation between the employee departments where the employees are most engaged and where the patient satisfaction is coming from as well. They're very much tied together.
What, if you don't mind, I don't know if you can speak to it, as far as what are you doing for employee engagement besides snowballs?
Well, what we're doing for employee engagement is, first of all, communication. That's what we hear loud and clear, is they want from administration, they want communication. But each department has basically, as a part of this survey, there were about 30 questions that were answered, and then they had some narrative comments as too. So each department has, through the Gallup software, it can tell you, your department is telling you you need to do these 5 things in this order. So each of the department leaders are meeting with their teams and saying, okay, this is what you told us. How do you want to work on this together? Because employee engagement, you can't work on it by just handing it. You can't give it to somebody. They've got to develop it within themselves. So each team is working on what they think they need to do to improve their work environment. Some of it is that some teams thought that they didn't work well with another department. Well, let's work on that together, and we'll do that. As a part of that, each group is working on their own initiatives, and then we have a report out twice a year, every 6 months, where they come back and they share with other departments what they're doing so that we can cross-populate some of those good ideas as well.
Thank you.
I don't know if that answers your
appreciate
question or not.
Oh, yes, very good. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Councilman Rossini yields back. Anyone else? Councilman Olivier on the question?
Yeah, thanks for your presentation. I think you're doing a great job at the hospital. One question, the hospital district owns several other facilities and buildings. How's the occupancy in those other buildings?
At the main campus, we're full
Okay.
for the most part. At the North Campus, we still do have quite a few buildings that were of the hospital proper. We have 3 units that we can still open and expand services on. And then outside of the buildings, I would say the outside buildings, Amy, at North Campus, about 60% occupied, 40% not. So some space in those areas as well.
Okay. And on mental health issues, y'all seeing an influx, a lot of mental health patients? going
Yes,
through the
we
system?
are. Yes, we are.
What contributing to those patients, and an idea of how the public can help?
We're seeing a lot, and more so after COVID. I think that's multifactorial of why that is increasing. We do not have the ability currently in our community to take care of some of the children that are showing up. So sometimes we are holding them in the emergency room, and we are finding placement for them. A lot of the adults we're able to find treatment for here locally. I think that's a bigger question than me about what's causing all of that.
Okay, thank you.
But we're doing our best to approach it, and would really like to see, I heard someone talk earlier about capital outlay, would like to see us be able to expand our psych services and behavioral health services at the North Campus. But it's very expensive infrastructure to put in place, and we have also put in a capital outlay to be able to expand those services.
Yeah, I asked because when I normally travel, that's a question that comes up all the time in a lot of the meetings I attend. It's an issue around the country, and
It
I
is.
just was wondering how we was addressing those issues. Thank you. Great
Thank you.
job.
Councilman Olivier yields back. Anyone else, members, some questions? We do have one. How is the partnership with the community college as far as the RN program? We're retaining some of those people from our community?
We are. We have a partnership with the community college and other colleges. We are letting them come in on their junior and senior year to do rotations with our nurses on the floor so they can see our culture, see what we're like, so that we can hire and retain there. So
Are we offering some type of bonus incentive for them to come to the hospital? A
We are.
sign-on bonus, do we?
we are,
Okay.
and trying to do that early before graduation.
Sure, perfect. Hearing no other questions, members, I'll ask to close on the floor. We had a motion by Councilman Brown and Councilman Landry. No other discussion. Roll call, members. Those in favor will signify by saying aye. Those opposed, hear no opposition. The ayes have it, and the motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Ms. Dion. Moving to the consent agenda items for public hearing and adoption. Minutes for regular meeting of September 28, 2022. Summary number 159, introduced by Parish President. Madam Clerk.
A resolution granting substantial completion to the Acadiana Fairground Commission Sugarina maintenance repairs, all as completed by Chord Construction LLC and as recommended by Project Architect Gesher Group APC. Note tabled from September 28, 2022 Iberia Parish Council meeting.
Going to summary number 173, introduced by Eugene Olivia, Senior, District 10. Madam Clerk.
A resolution in support Operation Green Life for Veterans in Iberia Parish from October through Veterans Day, November 11, 2022, to join NACO in lighting municipal buildings green.
Summary number 174, introduced by the Parish President.
A resolution certifying to the LA Department of Transportation and Development that the parish has met all the prerequisites to participate in the off-system bridge replacement program for a period of October 1st, 2021 through September 30th, 2022.
Summary 175, introduced by the Clerk of the Council.
A resolution of condolences to the family of Gerald Jerry Watney, former 16th Judicial District Court Judge, who passed away on September 25th, 2022.
Summary 176, introduced by the Clerk of the Council.
A resolution of condolences to the family of Ms. Ruby Duhon McDonald, mother-in-law of Director of Personnel Donald McDonald, who passed away on September 28, 2022.
I need a motion to open the consent agenda items. I have a motion by Councilman Saunier, second by Councilwoman Broussard. Councilman Saunier, Councilwoman Broussard. Is there at this time anyone willing to pull any agenda item from the consent agenda items?
Mr.
Have a request, coming to you. Have a request by Councilman Napier.
Yeah, summary number 159, Mr. Chairman.
For what purpose does the gentleman request to pull that summary?
I want to talk about it.
Summary 159 without objection will be pulled. Councilwoman Broussard. Councilman Olivier.
I'd like to remove summary 173. I'd like to explain the program to everyone and read the resolution in its entirety.
Without objection, summary number 173 will be pulled. Any other requests? Hearing none. Any other discussion on those omitting 159 and 173? Roll call, members. Those in favor will signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Hear no opposition. The ayes have it, and the motion carries unanimously. Summary 159 introduced by the Parish President. I need a motion to open. A motion on the floor by, is that Councilman Landry over there? Yes, sir. Second by Councilwoman Broussard. Councilman Landry on discussion. Oh, I'm sorry. That motion is to remove from the table. Any discussion on the table, members? Hearing none, roll call. Those in favor will signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, hear no opposition. The ayes have it, and the motion carries unanimously. Now to open up the main motion. Had a motion by Councilman Landry and a second by Councilwoman Broussard. Councilman Landry on discussion. Councilman Landry waives. Councilwoman Broussard on discussion.
I don't have anything to discuss. I'll wave to Mr. Napier.
Councilwoman Broussard waives. Councilman Napier on discussion.
Thank you, Ms. Broussard. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I apologize that I wasn't here at the last meeting when this was tabled. And you know, when we sit here and we supposed to vote on whether we approve something or not, I think we all take that serious. And when they tabled it, which I agreed with, you know, not being here, but after seeing the meeting and reading about it, when a contractor does a job for the parish and there is some concerns when they come to us for substantial completion, so we put in our check mark, hey, yeah, let's pay the guy. But then when we get some feedback from the commission who we appoint, that's saying, hey, you might wanna check on that, I think it's our duty, and y'all all did your duty to table it. And then there was some friction by Mr. Gasser from what I heard. And then I sit here tonight, and there's 2 letters right here about, and I know, hopefully y'all have all read it, that he sent out a letter stating that we shouldn't have tabled it. And then the commission signs it, except for one guy. And then got another letter about him resigning as our facility consultant. So while it's up to, I think it's a good time, Larry, is there anything that maybe you can share to us?
Before we do that, let me just, since we brought up these 2 letters, let the record reflect, Madam Clerk, that we put this into the record, an official record, these 2 letters, okay? I know it was mailed or put at our desk, but let it be put into the official journal, these. And now if y'all wanna go back and forth, just,
So, so first of all, I mean, do you know anything about, so I'm coming here, I mean, you know me, let's talk about it.
Okay, but tell me what you want to answer. Give me a question.
So I just said
Okay.
that there was some work done at the fairgrounds, right?
Right.
You aware of that?
Yes.
And they came for substantial completion.
Right.
And Mr. Gesser checked off on it, right?
Right.
Right?
Right.
But then there was some feedback from the commission to us
Right.
that, hey, look into that before y'all pay it,
Exactly.
right? So, I mean, you
Right.
probably know more about that than me.
Yeah.
But then, when I think they did the right thing, the council, by let's look into it. Not
Okay.
that we don't wanna pay the contractor, you already signed a contract with him, right?
Right.
So, and then there was, I don't know if you wanna touch on what went wrong after that?
What went wrong, I think, before I touch on it, I think you might want to talk to the chairman of the commission. Once he finished, I can explain to you, if you don't mind, Mr. Chairman.
without objection, he is here. Mr. Napier, you do have the
And
floor.
then I can
Would you-
explain everything to you.
So, okay, and I don't mind that. So, the chairman is Mr. Pat.
Pat.
I know he's, now, and I would just, if anybody knows why Mr. George Craig, the vice chair,
I have no idea.
no, and I'm just making a comment. Everybody signed the letter that Mr. Gesser sent to you.
Mr. Gesser didn't send a letter to me.
It says to M. Larry
That letter,
Richard.
but that letter addressed to me, but it went directly, if I'm not mistaken, to Pat. You need to look, you need to.
No,
talk to
you're
the
talking
chairman.
about the letter from the commission?
That's from the commission to Larry, Gerald,
Right,
and
that's from the
Warren.
commission.
Yeah, I
You need
received
to
that
let your,
letter
address the
also.
chairman first, I think would help a lot.
Yeah. Say what?
If you address the chairman, I think
Yeah,
you're gonna get a lot of it.
I don't
And
have a
then I can
problem with
answer.
that.
At that point, you're more than welcome to bring him up when you're ready.
Yeah,
You have the floor.
Pat, if you don't mind, I mean, if you can shed some light on this.
Okay, my name is Pat Carline. I'm the chairman of the board of the Sugar Arena. Okay, in answer to your question, George was not satisfied with the top part of the announcer stand. It was not enclosed. Okay, and of course it wasn't in the it was not in the project manual that be closed. That was to be left open. Okay, but if you go there and you look at it, it's kind of like, okay, I'm just going to leave part of the roof off around the house, and it's showing the wires and all the other stuff. Also, we looked at decided to go through the project manual page by page and really go look through it. And they had forgotten to put the installation above the where the drop-down ceiling was on the inside. Okay, and there were things that we saw that we didn't like, like screws sticking out that somebody would get hurt on if they put the hand on and do this and so forth. And we had not really gone through the whole thing before the night of the meeting. Okay, so we were kind of, as a commission, we were kind of upset that not everything was completed. Okay, the comment to me, I guess, in a sense, was that, well, you'll have 45 days after they sign everything to get everything, if you have anything wrong with it, to fix it, okay? Well, this letter that you saw, that we agreed on and so forth, was because they locked the place up and wouldn't give us the key. And we had a show,
Hold on.
we had a show the night, that week, okay? And the person that was hosting the show was very outdone, okay?
So who locked it?
Mr. Gesser had him change the lock on us. Because he said, well, because that meant that, well, hey, you know, it's not completed, so insurance-wise, you can't use it, because if somebody gets hurt,
Was this after we had tabled it?
yes.
So
After
sounds to
after
me
it was
like they
tabled,
got
it,
mad
that
because
happened.
We tabled it, so they wasn't gonna let y'all use it.
Correct. And
And-
basically locked it up. So the only way that I was going to be able to get a key,
Wow.
okay, was to draft a letter and send it in and saying, you know, hey, you know, if these things are done that we talked about, well, then we'll get, you know, the members to sign off so that we can get the key. So we got a key the next day, but it was after the show it was done with. I couldn't do anything about it. But he was very outdone. We almost lost a lot of money because of that. But anyway,
Well, he needs to resign.
but anyway, besides that, when all of this stuff started, okay, I was of course in Chicago, okay, so I was not really here to really look and see at the all the stuff that was going on and so forth, and they would call me, and I really couldn't answer questions because I didn't see anything in
Right.
front of me. Had I been on top of it, it would have been a lot different things that would have gone on and changed, okay? But everything in the project manual, from what I could tell, was completed, okay? Everything, okay? The only thing that we were upset about, and which we're gonna have to do on our own, take money and do it, is to fix the part at the top.
So that wasn't in the scope. of
That
work,
wasn't in the
which
scope. That was supposed to have been
maybe
left
should have
open.
been, right?
I would have thought so. You know, because I mean, why would you leave something open like that and then make it look like it is, and people see it and say, well, you know, that's not completed?
And so I would imagine Mr. Guest is the one that wrote the scope of work.
I would assume he did, yes, sir. It was a large document, and like I said, after all this happened, I went home, got the document, and started reading it, and then I sent it to the assistant chairperson. I sent it to him online, so he could print it out or whatever and look at it and read it just like we did. And that's when we found out that hey, they didn't put insulation in the ceiling like it says it's supposed to be. The subcontractor forgot. He didn't realize that he had to do that. Okay. It's just, there were just a lot of little things that creeped up, you know, corner edges that needed to be fixed. You know,
Let me say this, and this is just my opinion, is that, you know, you and all the rest of this commission is appointed by us, the representatives of the taxpayers, and when y'all come to us, I feel we did the right thing by, hey, let's just check into that. We're not saying we're not gonna pay them. I mean, we've come back in 2 weeks and you get your money, but, you know, I don't know if Larry, you knew all that was going on, but I guess my question is, Ian, is that legal, what he did to do that? That's not, I mean,
So you gotta understand that we're operating with some facts. We don't have the whole facts, and we don't have the contract after we review
no,
the
my thing
contract.
is, can he lock a public building? That's, I understand about
So you
not
understand
having all
when
the
I say
facts.
we don't have all the facts? A lot of these cases are gonna depend on one particular fact. So I don't wanna give you an off-the-cuff answer, not knowing what the contract says and not knowing, what all the facts were. Because it
Wow.
could be the wrong answer. That doesn't help you, and that doesn't help the people of the parish.
I think what was basically told to us was it belonged to the contractor because he hadn't turned it over
There you go.
to the parish, okay? Because he hadn't turned it over to the parish, they could still do whatever they wanted to
So
because,
he had the whole building. He had.
no, just the announcer
That's
stand.
what I'm getting at.
No, the
He don't
announcer
control
stand,
the whole
right,
building.
yeah, that announcer stand was told that, you know, we
No,
couldn't,
that- I don't,
we could not use it, okay? Because somebody might get hurt in it and we would get sued and this and so forth and so on. And that just kind of threw a kink, you know, especially we were having a show that
That's the big thing.
you know, that was what
I
hurt.
think that was done out of spite, it sounds like to me. That's just my opinion.
I believe,
Yeah, I just wanted to, talk a little bit about substantial completion. It's not total completion, and everybody here is familiar with what a punch list is.
Correct.
There should have been more communication about what was in the scope of work, the contract that was signed before all this happened. We heard today that everything in the project manual is completed. That's the contract, that's substantial completion. That doesn't take the contractor off the hook for all those defects that they're talking about. But you still have to have the contractor review it, and there's gotta be the contractor, the guy who signs off, the architect, and the commission, and they all have to be on the same page. The step after substantial completion is essentially a schedule of all the things that need to get done. And, it's important that the contractor gets paid, because we can be liable if they don't get paid once they hit that benchmark of substantial completion. So we can't just say, we're gonna hold the money until we're satisfied, we have to go by the contract. And it seems like there's a whole lot of people who need to be in the same room, walk through that building, and make sure that everybody understands what they need to do and when they need to do it.
but even at substantial completion, we still withhold some of the contractor's money until the punch list is
Probably
completed,
5 or
correct?
10%,
10%.
right?
normally.
That would be something that, the architect and the contractor and the commission would discuss.
Correct.
Like, this is what the job is, this is how much we can withhold.
Well, let me ask you something. You sat there 2 weeks ago, didn't you? When they,
Correct.
and I'm not throwing nothing at you, no, but I'm just saying, if you would have thought legally they were doing the wrong thing, wouldn't you have said something? So obviously,
There wa- there
you're
was
not
a-
saying that they did something wrong 2 weeks ago.
There was no discussion last week on the motion to table, there was no discussion
correct.
period.
That was not.
I don't recall if there was a copy of the 100-plus page contract in the packet, but I don't believe so. I do recall Mr. Gesser being present, but there weren't that many questions asked of Mr. Gesser. This is basically a situation where communication ahead of time could have headed off a whole lot of problems.
And I think that if I had been able to get up and talk after Mr. Gesser, okay, I think a lot of this would have been cleared up. I really do.
Are you satisfied?
It is what it
now?
is. It is what it is. I mean, we're satisfied with everything except that top portion, and we're going to take the care of that. We're gonna put some kind of you know how the stuff that they use to put underneath on the soft right. They have holes in it. We're
Yeah,
going to
then
take
it's
that and
soft,
we're going to take that and we're going to put it around the top, so that way it still can breathe, okay, and so forth. But even after we do that, there's still that much at the top that's breathable, okay, that air can get in all the way around. So, you know, we walked through it, we checked everything, we did what, you know, we did a walkthrough, we told them, said, look, this needs to be taken care of, this, and this. But it wasn't until I read the book and then the assistant read that portion and we said, well, wait a minute, we need to look at this. And that's
Well,
when,
my big thing is, and look, I'm a contractor, I understand all substantial completion, and surely I want to get paid too. But the big thing to me was when I heard that he shut down an event.
well, they really didn't shut down the event. The event was still done. The only thing is that we had to hurry up and fix tables and so forth and put mics in different places, put all wiring in different places.
Change the
We just
lock
had
and
to,
we'll give
you know,
the key.
No, just a lock to the press box.
just the lock to the
Not
press
to the
box.
whole
Oh, not to the,
facility.
okay.
No,
Okay.
and you see, they need to be in the press box.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
My
they need to
bad.
be in the press box to be able to see what was
Right.
going on.
Right, I got you. Okay.
But the arena and all that other stuff was still open. And,
Okay.
you know, he was,
I thought it was the whole.
after I sat down, talked with the person that was doing the show, he was satisfied with everything. He was,
Okay.
you know, he's still going to be coming back. And while I'm doing this, just to let y'all know, we have a motorcycle thing that's going to be coming on at the arena. We're going to have a car, actual cars going, you know, what do you call them? That they have at the
Funny
Coliseum. Right. We're going to have that, and we're going to have several other things
Funny car.
coming within the next
Well, good.
few
Good.
weeks.
That's good.
But we'd like for you to come out and look at what was done so that you can see, you know, what we were talking about.
Thank you, Pat. I appreciate everything. you
We,
do.
Mr. Pat, we giving my good friend over there, Video Bob, some money this month. Mr. Reshore, before I go to Mr. Broussard, did
Okay.
you?
I would like to, in reference to Brian, when this was put on the agenda for the last meeting to be substantially completed, apparently a list of issues that y'all had was given to parish council.
That's correct.
Not parish president. So when I came here for this here, I had no idea what
You
they were.
didn't know?
Not at all.
Really?
The commission didn't call me. Apparently they called members of the parish council and gave this list. If I would have had a list prior to coming to this meeting, things would have been totally different.
How?
But, well, of course, if they have some concerns, we're gonna address the concerns.
Yeah.
And that's my fault. I've learned a lot from this, okay? That I need to do the latter and do it like it should be done and not go from here and go way down here. I've learned a lot that I need to do administrative first and then from there
We'll talk
go
about
to
that.
wherever I
Seems
need to
good
go.
now.
But this was a learning experience for me.
It's
You
the
know, like I
first
said, all
project
this is
that we did.
volunteer.
Right.
Mr. Pat?
Yes.
You're doing a good
Thank you
job,
for
Pat.
being
Yeah,
honest.
thank
And I
you,
keep
man.
telling you,
I-
you're doing
I
a
know.
good job. It's just, you're doing a
Mr.
good job.
Broussard, welcome.
I saw a few of the pictures and the list and whatnot. There was some repairs to plumbing, leaking plumbing. Was that part of the project scope?
No, it was
originally?
not. That's what I'm saying. Had I seen, we'd seen, whatever. No, that was not. The only thing that they had in the book was to do the sinks, okay? Put new sinks up, put the new dividers on the commodes on each side, and put a paper thing for for them to use to get, to wash their hands and so on and so on. The other stuff, it was not.
Mr. Broussard, you finished? Mr. Broussard yields back. Councilwoman Broussard is recognized.
So, Mr. Pat, the day after the last council meeting, it was locked up by Mr. Gesser, as I understand it, correct?
Not, let's see, it was on
It was
The
probably-
last meeting was
I think
September
it was a-
28th.
might have
I
been
believe
a day
so,
Okay.
yeah.
I think it was a day.
Who composed this letter?
That was composed by the attorney,
What
For-
attorney?
the one we talked to. That gentleman right there?
Andy
Mr. Andy?
composed that letter?
Yes. He
And-
told us to do that, right.
And then after that letter was signed by y'all, Mr. Gesser unlocked the facility?
Yes, ma'am. He did.
Thank you.
They came in and,
That's all, I
Yeah.
appreciate it.
The
Yes.
gentlewoman yields back. Councilman Sonia is recognized.
I think that what we've heard is a hodgepodge of a lot of things that don't lead to a factual description of what takes place when we have projects like that. So Pat, I think y'all do a good job, but in the future, if you're gonna work with an architect, you need to understand what the scope of your project is. I think that everybody needs to be educated on what substantial completion means as opposed to a completed project. So at the end of the day, Mr. Gesser stood here and explained what had transpired, and unfortunately, we all took the commission side.
That's right.
And didn't listen to Mr. Gesser.
right.
And I also believe that it is his responsibility to protect the contractor and the parish, and he did exactly that. So at the end of the day, if there's a letter of apology that needs to go to anybody, it's to Gerald Gesser.
That's right. That's exactly right.
well, and I informed, that,
And I appreciate that.
I don't agree with that.
The gentleman yields back. Councilman Charles recognized.
So where was the installation not put? A concession stand or
no,
a press box?
in the press box,
Okay,
up
so-
on top.
So there was no installation?
There was
put.
no installation. There is now,
So-
because they called Saturday to get a key, so the guy Monday, he put it in Monday.
Was that when we had issues with a lot of sweating going on with the light fixtures and water in them?
Okay, no, that is in the concession stand, okay? It's condensation, okay, from the air conditioner, from my understanding. And we have talked to EP Bro. EP Bro said that they were going to, hopefully, we have to still, I haven't talked to him yet, but take those lights out and put the kind in that wrap and lock in place so that nothing can get inside.
So that's gonna be addressed before this project is over with, I'm assuming?
Well,
Before they
I'm
get
addressing it, but
paid?
that's not, excuse me, that's not with Gesser. That's something that came out of our budget to take care of with EP Bro.
I guess what really concerns me is what kind of a contractor do we hire that doesn't know how to put insulation on top of a ceiling?
Well, it was a subcontractor that made the mistake, from my understanding.
Right, exactly, so.
I mean, because it was in the book. That's where it said, we found it in the book, and it said, you know, that batting should be put on the. So I don't know where it went wrong down that line. I don't know what
I'm
happened.
just saying, I mean, you can go to pretty much second grader and figure out you need insulation on top of your ceiling. You know, so whether it's subcontractor, contractor, whoever it was, it's kind of concerning to me that they wouldn't even take the initiative to know you have to put insulation on top of them.
Well, and the other thing I'd like for you to know is, and I checked into this because of ethics, okay? Mr. Gesser is on my wife's family side, okay? And I checked to see whether or not, you know, if there was gonna be any kind of ethics violation, okay? And there wasn't.
Mr.
I'm sorry,
Pat,
what?
If we could stay germane to that, you know, we kind of jumping over the mountain right
Okay,
here.
I'm sorry.
Mr. Trahan?
Yeah, I guess I'm done. I just want to make that point that puzzles me, a contractor or subcontractor, not to know to put insulation on top of a suspended ceiling. So I'm done.
But when it comes down to it, Mr. Gesser did everything he was supposed to do, okay?
Councilman Trahan yields back. Councilman Montrans recognized.
Were y'all able to use the press box prior to that last meeting we had?
Yes,
So after the meeting, then y'all weren't able to use it? So
Correct.
it wasn't an insurance issue before the meeting, it was one after the meeting. And then kind of on what Scott said about Gesser representing the parish and the contractor, but he also missed that there was no insulation in there. So how can he represent us and the contractor at the same time? Whose side you on? I mean, so I don't know if there's any big loss on losing. I'm done.
Councilman Montrans yields back. Members, just kind of cool it off a little bit. I just want to say this. I get that Mr. Gesser has resigned, but I can tell you, whether you like him or not, the next prices, when we start evaluating these buildings, we're going to pay a lot more heavier price than what we were getting. Whether you like the service or not, we can all agree that the next price is, it won't be a flat rate. So, anyone else? Thank you, Ms. Broussard. Hearing no other discussion, Mr. Pat, thank you again for being here, and we appreciate
All right.
anything. Hearing no other discussion, roll call vote, members. Those in favor will signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, hearing no opposition, the ayes have it, and the motion carries unanimously. Moving on to summary number 173, introduced by Eugene A. Olivier, Senior of District 10. Do I have a motion?
Move.
Have a motion by Councilman Olivier, second by Councilwoman Broussard. Councilman Olivier on discussion.
Special privilege, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to read the entire resolution.
Without objection.
Before I do that, I want to explain exactly what the program is about. This coming Veteran Day, the National Association of Counties, NACO, and the National Association of Countries Veteran Service Office invite the nation, 3,069 countries, parishes, and boroughs to join Operation Green Light and show support for veterans by lighting our buildings green from November the 7th to November the 13th. By shining a green light, country governments and our residents will let veterans know that they are seen, appreciated, and supported. Now the actual resolution, I'll read it in its entirety. Resolution summary number 173, a resolution in support Operation Green Light for veterans from October through Veterans Day, November the 11th, 2022, through Iberia Parish and the joint NACO in lighting municipal buildings green. Whereas the residents of Iberia Parish have great respect, admiration, and the utmost gratitude for all of the men and women who have selflessly served our communities and this community in the armed forces. And whereas the contributions and sacrifices of the men and women who serve in the armed forces have been vital in maintaining the freedom and the way of life enjoyed by our citizens. And whereas Iberia Parish government seek to honor these individuals who have paid the high price for freedom by placing themselves in harm's way for the good of all. And whereas veterans continue to serve our communities in the American Legion, Veterans of Foreign Wars, religious groups, civil service, and by functioning as country veteran service officers in 29 states to help fellow former service members access more than $52 billion in federal health, disability, and compensation benefits each year. And whereas approximately 200,000 service members transition to civilian communities annually, and whereas an estimated 20% increase of service members will transition to civilian life in the near future, and whereas studies indicated that 44 to 72% of service members experience a high level of stress during the transition from military to civilian life, and whereas active military service members transitioning from military service are at a high risk for suicide during their first year after military service, and whereas the National Association of Counties encourage all countries, parishes, and boroughs to recognize Operation Greenlight for veterans, and whereas the Iberia Parish government appreciate the sacrifices of our United States military personnel and believe Pacific recognition should be granted. Therefore, be it. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Iberia Parish Council does hereby designate Iberia Parish as a green light for veteran parish, as does hereby declare that from October through Veterans Day, November the 11th, 2022, be a time to salute and honor the service and sacrifice of our men and women in uniform transitioning from active service. Be it further resolved that the Iberia Parish Council does hereby support Operation Greenlight for the veterans and encourage the lighting of municipal buildings green from November the 7th through November the 13th, 2022. Be it further resolved that in observance of Operation Greenlight, Iberia Parish government encourages citizens in patriotic tradition to recognize the importance of honoring all those who made immeasurably sacrifices to pursue freedom by displaying a green light in a window or their place of business or residence. Be it further resolved that this resolution shall be forwarded to the municipalities within Iberia Parish, encouraging and requesting their support and participation. Be it finally resolved that the resolution shall become effective immediately upon adoption by the Iberia Parish Council and approval by the parish president in accordance with Section 2-13 of the Iberia Parish Home Rule Charter. This resolution been submitted to a vote. The vote, therefore, was as followed. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to move that we accept this resolution, and I ask for a unanimous second.
Okay. There's a unanimous second invoked. Mr. Eugene yields back. Councilwoman Russo had the second. Do you waive that?
Yes.
Any discussion on the main motion, members? At this time, just if we can, I know we have some veterans here tonight. If you can just stand in your place, state your name and your branch of service.
Leslie Landry, U.S. Army, Vietnam, 1968-1970.
Thank you, sir.
Olena Arrington, retired United States Air Force.
Thank you, ma'am.
1973 to 1993.
Corey Porter, United States Navy,
Thank you, sir.
Marcus Woodrow, United States Army, Desert Storm.
Thank you, sir.
Joseph E. Davis, Navy, Vietnam War.
Thank you, sir.
Mike Vernon, U.S. Air Force, Vietnam, 70-71.
Daryl Wagner, U.S. Army, Vietnam, 1967, 68, 69, 71, 72.
Roy Moss, Vietnam veteran, Purple Heart, 1967-69. John Aldridge, United States Air Force, was in service from 1967 to 1992. And I was in Vietnam in 67-68.
Bill Pataki, U.S. Navy, Desert Storm.
Dave Feldman, United States Navy, United States Marine Corps, 1968 to 1972, and I was in Cuba.
Larry Richard, 1977 to 1983, United States Army, 101st Air Force.
Wow. We have one more, don't we?
Jacob Weaver, United States Air Force, United States Army, 2006 to 2013, Operation Iraqi Freedom. Oh,
Mr. Chairman, with your permission, I have something for each veteran, and we'll be taking pictures in the front.
Without objection.
Can all the veterans pass this way, please? We have something to give to you.
My friend, how you doing?
Take your ball out the box. You got another green? You got a green?
Brian, you did a lot of questions for the night. Amazing. I'm just amazed that before the letter you locked out, after the letter you let in.
Okay, I want to thank each and every one of you for your service. It means a lot to me and a lot to the people of this great country of ours. Thank you for everything you've done and everything that you continue to do.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank y'all, veterans.
Hey, thank you.
Thank you, J.E.
Yes. All right, we had the unanimous second. Roll call vote, members. Those in favor will signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Hearing no opposition, the ayes have it, and the motion carries unanimously. One more time, guys. We just finished it, sir. Thank you. Thank you for inquiring. Moving on to ordinances introduced for public hearing and adoption. Summary number 5201, introduced by legal counsel. Madam Clerk.
An ordinance amending the chapter 13 of the compiled ordinances of Iberia Parish, Louisiana to provide with respect to the condemnation and removal of dangerous buildings and structures, to provide for the effective date thereof and otherwise provide with respect thereto.
I have a motion by Councilman Napier, second by Councilman Rossini. Councilman Napier on discussion.
So, no, of course not. Ian, I'm sure you had a little bit to do with you and Andy putting that together.
Let me turn that off permanently.
Come on, man, I hardly get to talk. Ian, I'm so glad to see this, finally, that it's gonna pass. It's a little more, I'd like to see things a little shorter and all, but I know fooling with public monies and public ordinances and all, I read it twice, I still don't understand it all the way through, so it's got a lot of legal stuff in there, but I'm so glad to see it on here today that maybe my house, Jacob Weaver, wherever you're at, once this passes, hopefully, we I won't have to ask Mr. Reshaw during, President's comments no more, Wes, when we gonna do my house in,
Oh, you'll
General.
find something else.
Not my house, no, not my
Yeah.
house. No table. So anyway, thank you, Ian, thank you, Andy, wherever you at. I'm finally glad to see this. Hopefully it passes. Thank
I
you.
know your wife watches these, and you
Oh, yeah,
might want
my
to
wife
revise
really
that as
watches
not
it.
your house, but a house
No,
in your
not
district.
my house, but one on the next
Hate to
street.
condemn your
Yeah.
house.
A condemned house that should have been condemned long time ago. Thanks to the legal department, thank you. Hopefully this works. Thank y'all.
Councilman Napier yields
I
back.
do
Councilman
back.
Rawson, on discussion?
Wait.
Councilman Rawson waives. Any discussion on the the main motion, members? Did legal counsel want to input?
Let's
Hearing
move.
none. Hearing no other discussion, roll call, members. Those in favor will signify by saying aye. Those opposed, hearing no opposition, the ayes have it, and the motion carries unanimously. Moving on to resolutions introduced for public hearing and adoption. Summary number 164, introduced by the clerk of the council. Madam Clerk.
A resolution appointing one member to the Iberia Parish Tourist Commission as nominated by Louisville Community Projects for a 3-year term to fill a vacancy created by the expiration of term for Ms. Christine Borg, whose term expires on December 31st, 2022. Applications of interest on file from a Ms. Nancy Buto note tabled from September 28, 2022, Iberia Parish Council meeting.
I need a motion to pull the summary from the table. Have a motion to pull the summary from the table by Councilman Rawson, a second by Councilman Napier. Any discussion on the table, members? Hearing none, roll call. Those in favor will signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, hearing no opposition, the ayes have it, and the motion carries unanimously. Summary number 164 to open up for discussion.
Move.
Have a motion by Councilman Rawson and second by Councilman Napier. Councilman Rawson on discussion.
Real quick, Ms. Buteau would be a great asset, and I hope everybody supports.
Councilman Rawson yields back. Councilman Napier on discussion.
Agreed.
Councilman Napier yields back. Any discussion on the main motion, members? Hearing none, roll call. Those in favor will signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, hearing no opposition, the ayes have it, and the motion carries unanimously. Congratulations, Ms. Buteau. Moving on to summary number 165, introduced by Scott Rawson of District 9. Madam Clerk.
A resolution in support of Aviation Exteriors Louisiana AVAX hangar expansion project at the Acadiana Regional Airport, urging and requesting funding for said project from any available sources, providing for the effective date thereof, and otherwise providing with respect thereto. Note, a motion to suspend the rules will be needed as this item was not considered by the joint committee.
Move. Second.
I have a motion by Councilman Landry and a second by Councilman Rawson to suspend the rules. Is there any discussion on suspension of the rules, members? Hearing none, roll call. Those in favor will signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, hearing no opposition, the ayes have it, and the motion carries unanimously. The rules are suspended. I need a motion to open summary number 165.
Second.
A motion by Councilman Rawson, second by Councilman Napier. Councilman Rawson on discussion?
I don't know if everybody's familiar with what's going on right here, but basically this is just to engage the state reps and senators and whatnot, other parties get involved. There's going to be some funding needed, not only from local level, but possible state and other grants funding, DOTD, Louisiana Economic Development, a lot of parties involved. So this is a great one from what I've seen so far. Without getting into the details, I'd like support from everyone involved. Thank you.
Councilman Rawson yields back. Councilman Napier on discussion?
I agree with Scott. We sat down with Pat already about what's going on, and anybody that we could reach out and touch and bag and whatever we can do to get some funding to help us out at the airport, I'm all for. So I support Scott in pushing this forward. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Councilman Napier yields back. Anyone else on discussion? Councilman Saunier is recognized.
This may be the most important thing that we do this year, or in the coming years. I continue to say that we need to vote on things that are going to bring jobs to this locality. This project, everybody had the opportunity to go sit with Sean Welcome. I don't know if you did or not, but you missed it if you didn't. If I understand correctly, the minimum amount of jobs they're talking about is about 200. Is that correct, Pat? At $50,000 a pop, which is about $10 million a year in salaries annually for the local economy. We have got to start investing in projects like this and not in things that are not going to generate revenue for us. Our tax base is not gonna change if we don't bring jobs to this parish. So I wholeheartedly support this.
Agreed.
Councilman Sonia yields back. Anyone else, members?
Yeah.
The parish president?
Mr. Chairman, this is the type of project that don't happen often, especially in our Beardy Parish. We've been working with Raymond, AVAX, LED, the airport authority, and this is a huge opportunity for our Beardy Parish. And we're gonna have to come up with some funding, no doubt about it. But I really feel strong that we can get the money that we need to match. It's gonna bring, like Scott said, and others, many jobs to our Beardy Parish. But it's not so much the jobs that is gonna, it is so much the jobs, but it's also gonna bring new opportunities for additional companies to come and support the type of services that's gonna be provided at that airport. This is huge. We have a lot of activities that's going on in the airport area, from Highway 90 going toward that airport, and this is just one of them. Next several years in our Beardy Parish is gonna be big. And this is just another value added that we have. So I really hope everyone support this. Thank you.
I guess my question, I mean, I support the project, echo what everyone says, but it just says we're supporting any available sources. Were we talking local, state, federal? I mean, that's the conversation we're gonna have. I mean, we're sending ourselves a resolution, or are we gonna talk about this in budget?
I don't think you're gonna talk.
No, I'm just-
Go ahead. You want me to answer?
Either one.
Okay. You have several different things that's being discussed right now. I don't know if I'm privy to say the dollar amount of this project. I can say. We have roughly $38 million that we're looking to do in hangars. Some of the funding is gonna come from bonding. We're gonna have to bond some money, straight up bonds, to pay for parishes' match. However, that's gonna be supported by AVAX. AVAX is gonna support the bonding. They're gonna assure the bonding. We have a lot of language that still need to be discussed. The reason this is on the agenda tonight is because we have to do capital outlay requests.
Okay, that's where I was getting at. I mean, it wasn't direct, so I mean.
Right. It's not direct, but, and it's, maybe it should have been on here, maybe it shouldn't, whatever, but we have to do a capital outlay request, and that have to be done and submitted before November 1st. So, this is a big deal for us. We don't have time to wait, because if we wait, the company that we're doing it for, how about if I say we don't have time to wait? We need to move on this.
I'll pass this tonight, and I have no problem asking the state, but at the same time, let this echo that the local government is willing to
That's right.
ante up what we can, what is available.
And what you're saying is extremely important, because LED made that point right there.
I was on that phone call with
That's
you.
what
That's why I want to make sure we're not direct, we're just putting any available sources. I get that, leaving it open, but at the same time, I want the legislature, whoever we're going to, know that the local government is, we do understand that we have a part to put into this.
We have a major part to put, we have a match to put, and it's gonna extend to a different project where funds going to be coming from perhaps BOTD as well. It's a lot going on.
Anyone else, members? Hearing none, roll call. Those in favor will signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, hear no opposition, the ayes have it, and the motion carries unanimously. Just to remind the public, our next finance meeting is next Monday, October 17, 2022. Our next regular meeting is October 26, 2022. I'll need a motion to adjourn. Have a motion by Councilwoman Broussard, second by Councilman Pollard. Any discussion? Hearing none. Roll call, members. Those in favor will signify by saying aye. Those opposed, hear no opposition. The ayes have it, and the motion carries unanimously. We taking a 10-minute break, or we going?